Hello, let's do another problem that involves absolute value. Excuse me. In this case, we are going to talk about a little bit more complicated problem, so we will have more than a few steps to actually do this. As mentioned in the previous video, to solve the absolute value equation, the first step would be to make the absolute value term by itself on one side. So that means that we need to move everything else to the other side of the equal sign. So negative 5 needs to go and the 4 needs to go. So to remove the 5, well, we just add 5 to both sides. Right? And then we have for absolute value of x plus 2 equals to 7 plus 5, which is 12. Now, this here is actually 4 times the absolute value. So what we need to do is we need to divide. So let's just divide by 4. Divide by 4. So these 4's will go away. And then we have absolute value of x plus 2 equal to 12 divided by 4 is 3. Now, this problem looks much simpler. We have the absolute value on one side, and then all the values that we move to the right-hand side, in this case, just reduce down to 3. Now that we have a situation like this, where absolute value is by itself, then we can split the equation into two linear ones, right? Because this here is a linear term. And so we can say this, x plus 2, what's inside the absolute value, signs, is either equal to negative of what's on the other side, which is negative 3, or it is equal to the positive of that number, which is just 3, right? And again, why would that be the way to go? Well, if we have a 3 in here, absolute value of 3, if this whole thing is equal to 3, which we have right here. So if this whole thing is equal to 3, then absolute value of 3 will give us 3. And then if this whole thing, x plus 2, is equal to negative 3, which we have right there, then absolute value of negative 3 would be equal to 3 again, because absolute value makes everything that's in there not negative. Okay. And now all we need to do is solve these two little equations. So in this case, we just need to take away 2 on both sides. Once we do, we get that x is equal to, in this case, that's negative 5. And in this case, x is going to be equal to 1. Now again, we cannot just say, okay, these are the answers, or we shouldn't. What we actually need to do is go ahead and check whether these answers work or not. So let's try with negative 5 first. So, and how we do it, we take each value of x that we got and we plug them in for every x that we have in our original problem, right? So we started with negative 5, so let's put it in there. We'll have 4 absolute value. Instead of x, we put negative 5. We still have plus 2, close absolute value, minus 5, equal to 7. and we are questioning this. We're trying to see if this is actually a fact. So negative 5 plus 2, that will be negative 3. And we still have minus 5 equal to, you see what I'm doing here? I'm not moving anything to the other side. So I want to just simplify this left-hand side until it either looks the same as the right-hand side or looks different, right? So now absolute value of negative 3 is actually positive 3. So this is just 4 times 3, and we still have minus 5. And we are still checking if this is true. 4 times 3 is 12, minus 5, will that be equal to 7? Well, it is, right? Since this is true, that means that negative 5 actually is one of the answers. Let's now do the same thing with with the negative 1, I mean positive 1. So if we try it with 1, again we plug it in instead of x into our original equation right there. So that means 4 times absolute value of, instead of x, we put 1 plus 2 minus 5 equal to 7. And again, we are questioning this. We are checking whether this is true or not. So we have 4. 1 plus 2 is 3 minus 5. And you could probably already see how is this going to work, because now we are having the same thing that we had right here. Absolute value of 3 is 3, so this is 4 times 3 minus 5 equals 7. And this is exactly the same line as this one, which means we'll get 12 minus 5 equal to 7, and we get 7 equals 7. So 1 also worked. So 1 is also one of the answers. So the solution for this problem, the solutions actually are x equal negative 5, x equal to 1. I hope you liked the video. If you did, make sure you click like, subscribe if you didn't, and make sure you don't forget to smile.